Laura McKiethen. You are a wife, a mom, coach, special ed teacher, book writer, and now becoming a grief coach. And you used to renovate houses, right?
Yes. Yes. That's how you make money when you're a teacher.
Oh, I love that. And that's a really cool side hustle for a woman too.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
were you a contractor or were you?
No, you can be your own contractor if you own the house, own the property, and you only spend up to a certain amount.
Okay.
And I was in Asheville, and that amount was $40,000.
Okay.
So as long as I could somehow prove that I was spending under $40,000, then I could do it.
Nice.
Even though some definitely cost more than that.
Well,
So
that makes sense. But anyway, I was really impressed with that.
But basically, I was like the logistics person, like calling people and knowing when to do what and when to call for permits.
Yeah, awesome for you. I mean, I was impressed by that personally. So you are from Charlotte, South Carolina.
North Carolina.
Charlotte, North Carolina. Mm-hmm. Sorry. And you were in Asheville for a long time.
Long time.
Right. Mm-hmm. And then you've been in Jacksonville since 2021, correct?
That's right.
Yep. Know my facts. Thanks for being here today and for being willing to share your story, because you've had a lot of story in your life. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
my life did not work out like I planned.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, and I love the fact that you were so willing to come and share, because I mean, when I think it's part of the unthinkable, to not only lose one child, but to lose two children in your case. So I know that you have three children. Jack is your oldest, and then Edie, and then Liza. Okay. Yeah. So let's just start there. Tell me a little bit like your journey through that this whole last so many years and at any point, if you get uncomfortable or you need to stop, I'm good with that.
Well, feel free to tell me if you want me to veer in a direction or what have you.
Yeah. And so it's like I was telling you and Bev earlier, is that this is real and raw. This is not, I'm not trying to plan anything out. I want us to be led and guided to the information that other people really need to know and want to know, and they want to know your story and how you've navigated through the grief of losing two children. So let's just kind of start there and go from there.
So I did mention the grief educator program, and one of the things they had us do was a loss inventory. And so they had you just list your 10 big losses in your life. And that could be anything from losing a pet, And so it was kind of interesting to put that together. And so I've kind of got that in my mind. So I thought I was gonna, have two kids and perfect family and all this good stuff. And my second child was born and had some difficulties. And so we moved, my ex-husband and I moved from Colorado to North Carolina to be a little bit closer to family. And when she was 13 months old, we got a diagnosis of a rare genetic disorder called mucopolysaccharidosis type 1, or MPS 1. And we were told she would live to be 5 or 10 years old.
Wow.
And that she would, progress and then decline. So there was the first big loss was, holy crap, we're not going to have this perfect life that I thought I was going to have, right? So, that was a hard one. And I went through grief, I would say for 6 months, like really grieving that loss of what I thought I was going to have. And so then we decided to have a third child, and that was Liza. And then as my daughter Edie started doing more poorly, which she she had developmental delays.
Okay.
But then when she was 5, things started backsliding, which we were told to anticipate. And anyway, we all handle grief in different ways. And I found a lot of hope in going back to school and getting certified to teach special ed. So I went and got a master's and had 3 children. I have no idea how I did it. Thank God my husband was, taking care of the kids while I was in classes. And then I went back and was teaching at the same school where my son had just left, and my daughter was there when Edie passed away.
Okay.
And that coincided the same week of my husband and I deciding to get a divorce. And then a month later, I got transferred to a new school. Wow. So it was just like loss after loss after loss, bam, like
back
that.
to back.
So
right.
Anyway, there was that. So fast forward, I pull it together. I left the teaching job at the new school, started my own tutoring business. Then that gave me the flexibility to renovate houses, to make a little extra money on the side, yada, yada. And then ultimately reconnected with a boyfriend during COVID reconnected with a college boyfriend, crazily, who lives in Jacksonville.
Okay.
And then moved down here, and it was great. Like the years before that were so good before I moved, because we both went to University of Georgia. My daughter Liza was at University of Georgia, where everything's so good. I kept having this feeling like things have been so good. I feel like something terrible is going to happen. It was really weird. And I thought, what is the worst thing that could happen? And I thought, well, it would be something happening to Liza, because she and I just were like 2 peas in a pod and talked every day. She was the me I wished I could be. And anyway, sure enough, I get the call. She's on spring break. I get the call from her boyfriend that they're taking her to the hospital because they can't seem to wake her up. And get down to Cabo, where she is, and her brain has been bleeding, and they think that it was caused by something that they did not think she could survive it. And anyway, told me to expect her to be brain dead, and then we find out that she's not. We get her back here to Mayo and find out at Mayo that she in fact has a glioblastoma on her brainstem, and that's why she generally will not wake up. So anyway, 6 weeks after that diagnosis, she passed away. So suddenly, that's the biggest loss ever, and it worse than losing a child who I had grieved the loss of for 9 years before she actually passed away. And then, so grieving the loss of my marriage, somehow I got through that at a new school that I did not,
you
was
just
not
kept
a good
transitioning
fit.
and transitioning.
So I was
over.
Okay, I know there's some way I'm going to get through this, but this is the most pain I have ever been through in my life.
Yeah.
And it has been 2.5 years now, and it's still really hard. It's still really raw.
Yes.
For sure. But I know that I will get on the other side. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So those are my losses. And what I want to say is that just a few months after losing her, I went to a Forever Family Foundation retreat, and I had never spoken to a medium before.
Okay.
And it was there that I witnessed these mediums, and I was blown away. I could not believe what I was hearing. And I was like, oh my God, they are here. They are watching us. They have messages for us. Mm-hmm. This is legit. I had read things like Many Lives, Many Masters, and I always thought that's really cool. Love it. But I never
How
really
could it
thought
apply to you?
About it, And the fact that when Edie passed away, her health was so poor, and it made sense that she should be somewhere else, being cared for someone else, by someone else, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, when I went to that, I was just like, oh my God. And so suddenly I was just like knee deep in trying to understand this whole world of what happens after you leave your body.
Yeah.
And that's how I got led to then helping parents heal as well.
And that brings, I mean, the comfort that brings to make that connection, to understand whatever form it comes in, to understand that we are literally living in a parallel universe, and in that way, to know that they are really right here around us, and that everything is really one.
Right.
We just have to be willing to open up our heart and our mind to be able to make that connection, because our loved ones are around us. And everybody has different beliefs systems in place for that, but when you go and you experienced it firsthand for yourself, then what you experience, you tend to usually believe. Right. And so how did that change your whole grieving process? Did you have a reading there? Did they specifically read for you, or
they typically get readings for everybody? Now mine, or my Liza, was very fresh, and so they typically say you're not going to hear from, or you're less likely to hear from your loved ones if it's super fresh. So I did get a very small reading when I was there, and it was within the big group, where she and her sister both came through, kind of piggybacking in with another person who was there. So that was nice to know that they were in fact trying to come through. But what was fascinating was I was in a group setting, and the medium said, okay, I've got just a few more minutes. Let me see what I can get. And he comes up to me, and he, in his New York accent, he goes, Laura, you're the one writing the book, right? And I was like, what? And I thought, how in the world that's not something anybody's going to look up online or anything and know that I'm writing a book. And he goes, yeah. And does it have something to do with the afterlife? And I was like, oh my God, because, I was trying to figure out this whole thing with Edie and the book that I was writing about her. When I moved to Florida, I had thought, I'm going to work on that book. Anyway, he was like, my spirit guides are telling me to light a fire under you. And I was like, oh my God, I'm supposed to write that freaking book. And I had woken up, oh God, but 2 years after Edie passed away, with like this knowing you're supposed to write a book.
Yeah. This book has been coming for a long time.
At least 15 years now.
And so I think you told me that are you going into editing or publishing, or?
So, okay. Sometimes, I'm I am appreciative and trying to trust that the universe is doing what I hope it's doing. I met a woman this summer. My sister basically put her big old foot in the door and opened it up and introduced me to this woman who she told me was an editor.
Okay.
And she's like, I really want you to meet my friend, because, I think she might be able to help you, because my sister's been excited for me to write this book.
Yeah.
And I had just come from a writing conference. And so the woman says, so your sister tells me you're working on a project. Do you have any questions? Well, I didn't have any questions really, because I had just been at this conference where all my questions were answered except for one. And that question was, I don't know what genre my book is. And I said, I can't figure out what genre my book is. And so she asked me some questions. And finally she's like, what's it about? And I said, well, I'm going to try to be succinct. I said, well, it's the story of this little girl, and she has a near-death experience, and she learns all the wisdom of the universe, and then she comes back and she watches her family fall apart around her because of her disability. And I said, it's her story. And she was like, oh my God, I want to read it. And I was like, seriously?
Yeah.
And she said, yeah, I want to read it. Well, the evening before, I had looked up my sister's friend, and she works for Penguin Random House.
Okay.
So that's one of the big 5 publishing. So if she likes it, she will be able to get me in touch with people who can help me, herself included.
Wow. So the doors have opened up.
So that is huge. And it makes me nervous to even talk about it.
Yeah, but that to me, like, so, like, I love the fact that grieving and loss has brought you into this amazing movement of creativity.
Right.
That, it's going to be the way I look at it is like, when you drop the pebble in the water, it's your reverberation of the love that you've carried for, for your girls.
Yeah.
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 So I'm going to ask you about how has this affected, like, I know that you have a son, Jack, right? This has been an interesting journey with him. So I think for children who are left, even with my children, my 2 sons who were left from their brother passing, it's been a very interesting journey to see them walk out their own process with grieving. But how has it affected? Like, can you speak for him in that way? Do you feel like that? I mean, he is the survivor of 2 sisters.
Right.
Who have passed. So I'm just kind of interested to see
and he's the survivor of, his first sister passing and then his parents divorcing within a month, and I hate throwing anybody under the bus, but he didn't have a very good role model.
Yeah.
In his own dad processing grief, he did not process it in a healthy way, and so I think that for my son, I think it's very hard. I'm glad he has a girlfriend or fiance, I should say, that he says that he cries to her.
Yeah.
So I'm happy for that. I'm gonna cry right now just because. I've heard it said that a sibling not only loses their sibling, but they also lose their parents.
Yeah.
Because they're not the same person that they were.
It's hard.
And so I think about that he's kind of on maybe a bit of an island, because I think he probably doesn't want to upset me, right? And clearly, I don't mind crying.
I think that's the reason why I asked that really hard question, because in my own experience, I mean, it leaves you with so many unanswered questions. I mean, you're trying to survive yourself.
Yeah.
Through. So I had similar, a divorce, your children going through a divorce, and then a loss, and then your other children being lost somehow in the mix because you're trying to survive yourself. And I remember reading a book about love yourself, and it just came to me like children often get sacrificed because their parents are trying to survive their own story. And it really blew my mind. And I didn't want to go to a hard place, but it's a place that I share with you in this way, because you either lose that child, that relationship, or somehow you're trying to figure out how to bridge back to that relationship. And it's heartbreaking as a mother for anything to breach that relationship. And I knew that was part of your story, because you had shared that with me, that sometimes it's just hard to get back to him and him to come back to you, because there's so much stuff in between.
And I do think, like, I was so close to his sister, when he was living out in Colorado, and I was like, he's doing his own thing, and so now it's like I miss that closeness of my child.
Yeah.
And it's not fair to think like he's gonna fill that void, but I sure wish he would.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that's got to be another hard piece.
And he's on his
him.
Own journey.
Yeah.
To heal himself too. But then I think to myself, I'm glad that he has someone in his life that is carrying that weight with him. So to me as a mom, that would bring me some solace to know that. And my hope is that somehow you find your way back to him, because no other person can fill those other people's places, but at the same time, it can also create a bridge to hold that space for one another if you have the opportunity to do that. And I know that that's your heart's desire with Jack as well. I mean, we need our babies.
Yeah, and I think about too, because my parents were divorced, and I don't feel like I really got to know perhaps my own father that well until I had kids of my own, and so or understand, it's like you don't really understand things till you're there.
Till you've lived life and you've experienced.
Right.
I mean, that's just the fact. I had that conversation the other day with my niece, and she was like, "Oh, I'm just trying to." She's got 2 kids, and she's like, "I'm just trying to figure out how to survive." And I said, "You don't understand that until you're living it."
Yeah. It's really easy to say somebody else is doing it wrong until you try to do it.
That's right. That's right. Well, thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that part of it, because I know that is a tough part, but that is a part of our story that needs to be said. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the next question is, I know that you have some hobbies. I know that you go back and forth to the mountains. So you said outdoors running, yoga, traveling, and then recently you're checking into mediumship.
Yeah.
And I'm sure because of your experiences with that and how much it has helped you.
Mm-hmm.
But what would you say is like the concrete thing that has kept you level and above water? What are the things that kind of have kept you from sinking down and not coming back up, I guess?
Right. So. Well, I'd say there's a mix. Certainly friends, in that initial, through the process, I think about during the weeks when Liza was in the hospital, and then when we pulled her out, I had so many friends, and Liza had so many friends that came down and stayed with us.
Mm-hmm.
And I could not have done it without that support. As well as, Jack came from Colorado and was with us the whole time. And also, Liza's dad was there. His family was there, because we're still, close with the family. So that was just a blessing initially. And then I think getting out in nature is really important. Mm-hmm. And then honestly, the whole spirituality, just going on this major spiritual journey, which I felt like I was coasting along prior to this, like dabbling in things like near-death experiences and past life regressions, that stuff that I thought was kind of cool before it has like become like a lifeline,
Yeah.
So I would say a mishmash of that. And then my husband now has been a rock.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Kudos to the husbands that can step in.
And especially the ones, maybe it's easier for them to step in because it's not their child. I don't know. But to just be so supportive when, he knew and loved Liza.
Yeah.
But, clearly not, had
Not the same.
3 years of knowing and loving her, not not a lifetime.
Yeah, that you've had some solace and some peace with support and love. It just fascinates me when every time I talk to somebody about going through this process, they always come back to the same thing. It was people.
Yeah.
People showed up for me. People, my community, people loved me. Makes you connect to other communities of people that do it. And I love that. I mean, because you think about it in the end, what are you going to say? It's like how you were loved and how you loved.
Right. Absolutely.
Really.
Absolutely.
Bottom line.
Yeah.
Thank God for people, right? Yeah. There's so much good in the world.
Yeah.
Even though there's so much pain and suffering in the world, there's so much good. And I'm glad that you've had that in your life. You didn't have to walk it out.
And still do. I can't remember when it was, but fairly recently, I had a good friend who was just like, tell me, I'm not crying. Tell me how things are with you and Liza. Mm-hmm. I was like, it's been 2.5 years. And she asked the question that everybody else is scared to ask.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the other thing is that my mother-in-law, and she's passed now, but every Memorial Day she would call me. Mm-hmm. She remembered, and people go on with their life.
They do.
But when you've lost, and it doesn't not necessarily a child, but loss is, and I need to be better too, as remembering someone's loss, because people, they move on, but you are here.
Yeah.
Right where you left off.
Right. And people do move on, and you can't expect them not to, right? But
you can't.
For those of us who have lost somebody who's that important to them, you wake up every day and notice that they're not there.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you appreciate it when somebody
else
somehow they
says something.
I know, it's so good.
Or sends you a photo, or just something.
That I'm not alone in my remembrance of that person.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for being with me today and for sharing your story. I loved getting to know you, and I look forward to all of our new adventures together, because I think we're going to have some.
I hope so. And I'm excited about everything that's to come here.
Yeah.
All right. Lovely.
Thank you.
A lovely studio.
Thank you, everybody. And we appreciate you taking your time to be here to hear Laura's story today. And we're going to offer resources, which they are a part of, Helping Parents Heal, here in Jacksonville.
Well, Helping Parents Heal is actually an international now organization, but Beverly and I have a chapter here in Jacksonville and St. Augustine. So we're the Northeast Florida chapter.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here. And up next, we're going to have Beverly. She's going to come and she's going to share her story on our next episode. And I'm really excited about that. And again, appreciate you being here. And bye for now.